Well, we're going to get going here real soon. Welcome to Satsang. I'm so glad to have you. I suspect that we will fill out as we go. That's the way that it usually happens in Sunday Satsang. And if we don't, 62 is a nice number. So everybody that is supposed to be here will be here. We need not fear that anybody is going to miss it because they just can't. That's not the way it works. So what I want to do is just take a couple of minutes and let's just sit together quietly and let's just notice that the sense of being, notice that there is a sense of existence present here right now. Please close your eyes and just feel the aliveness in the body. And then you can check to see if that aliveness actually ends at the outer skin or if it is just everywhere. Okay, now I'm going to beg everybody that doesn't have their camera on to please cut it on. You can point at your ceiling, whatever, if you're not comfortable being on. I'd rather see you, but you can point at your ceiling if you want. I just can't stand to sit up here and teach in front of a bunch of black boxes. It's so, and it looks like Leor may not have a camera available, which is just absolutely fine. And here's someone else coming in, and that's good. Okay, so we had just a moment of meditation, or not meditation, but just noticing the sense of being. We don't actually need to meditate because we actually are meditation. Your truest nature is simply meditation. And so anytime that we be still, that's, as it says biblically, be still and know that I am God. And no clearer words, no clearer pointer has ever been uttered. So we just want to be still and notice. Know that I am God. And I'm referring to you, not me, so to speak. Okay, that'll do it. We've got a lot to cover here today, and we don't have that much time. We may end up running long if there are still questions to be answered, and things are lively. If things remain lively, we may end up staying a little bit longer than scheduled. But if not, we'll end at 3:30 as scheduled. So thank you so much, by the way. Thank you for everybody for undoing your cameras. That just makes a huge difference over here to me. So Pascal, if you can get to your camera, if you're in front of your computer, I would really like for you to get your camera on. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. It is just, that's really uplifting. So let me go through my screens first. I just want to kind of get an idea of, I just want to see everybody.
We have 63, 64 now.
66. That's what I have.
You and I are two of those.
Well, we're here too. We're not outside of it. Okay. So I see that 9 of you still have your screens blacked out. Please, if you would cut your camera on, it doesn't have to be on you. If you're gun shy, but please cut the camera on. Just I like to know that people are here and that you're actively engaged and at least listening. And so what I will do is I'll actually click something to where I can't see you if I can't see you or recognize you if your camera is not on. So I see we got what, 5 hands up. That's a good start. I'm glad of that. But in satsang, usually there's a bunch of people who have a question to ask right at the end. And what I'm going to suggest is check yourself. If you feel like you're going to go ahead and might want to ask a question at some time, go ahead and raise your hand. That'll be sure that we get to you. And there's nothing like a row of hands to inspire me. So we'll start right now. And we're going to start with Margaret Newman. Margaret, hello, how are you?
A couple of people don't have cameras available.
Okay, that's fine. If you don't have a camera, that's perfectly fine, by the way. Margaret.
Hi, I'm Grace.
I cannot hear you. Let me see if that's me or you.
Oh,
Somebody else say something. Carter, speak to me, please.
Yeah, I'm talking.
Okay, it's on my end, Margaret.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can all hear her. So there's something
Yeah, we can hear. Yeah.
on my end. I see it. Okay. I'm sorry, Margaret. Now I didn't mean to steal your thunder. Hi, dear. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You can hear me now?
I hear you perfectly. Thank you. We'll all hooked up now.
All right. Well, so my question is that so I've been doing the Finders course, which I believe you're familiar with because
yes. Yeah.
Dr. Terry mentioned.
I've been working with him for a long time. Yeah.
Thank you. And so while I haven't reached anything in the course, obviously I've been trying the different meditations, and I'm at this point of life where I am open to any suggestion.
Oh, very good.
Anything you might say that would be at all helpful.
Okay, so you're open. So let me ask you this. One of the problems that is very common in people at the place where you are is that what they're trying to do is they're actually trying to figure this out.
Yes.
And, okay, so what I would tell you is if you're trying to figure this out, don't stop, because you will never, ever, I get emails where I just need one little piece left. Well, there's 2 million or whatever seekers out there that just need that one little piece. That's what I can offer, is that one little piece, and a lot more. But I usually start out with that little piece. So everybody notice exactly where you are. Margaret, are you willing to allow things that are you open to me shattering any beliefs that you have?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything.
Okay.
So, I'm at the end of my rope. Anything.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you just a little bit. We're going to go back and forth. I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Yes.
If you hear me go, no, stop, whatever, what I'm talking to is ego.
Yes.
Just so you know, I can't even see a Margaret. So there's no possibility of me talking to one. Yes. What I can see is myself, and I'll be talking to myself when I say that. And it'll be only for the purpose of helping you get where you want to go. Okay. It won't be, so don't take offense.
Nope.
Okay. So right now, if you had to prove to me, if you were in a courtroom and I was the judge and you were representing yourself, you're a lawyer representing yourself. So, and you had to actually prove to me that there really is a Margaret. Tell me how you'd do that.
I would say that I feel myself, so it feels
you feel
like
yourself. Well, this is, you have to prove it. I can't feel you, dear. I can see you, but I can't feel you. So
okay,
that's not gonna, that won't fly. We need to be convinced. We need evidence.
Then I would say, well, there's somebody standing in front of you.
Well,
So
that's only proves that there's a body. Is not proving. We're not here to check and see if you have a body. We're here to check and see if there's really a Margaret here.
then I would say that, what would I say? I would say that I'm experiencing life, so there has to be a me present to experience.
So are you sure of that?
Mm.
You told me you were absolutely open, and now this is going to tell whether you are or not.
I'm sure that I'm having an experience. And so
when you say, I'm sure I'm having an experience, tell me who that I is that you're referring to.
well, it's got a label that was given called Margaret.
No, I don't think that that has a label at all. The body was named Margaret. Because look
Yes.
at this. Just check to
Yes.
see if I'm right here.
Yes,
When you first came out of the birth canal,
yes,
and the doctor picked you up, lifted you up, and handed the little fetus, you're still hooked up, to the attending nurse so the doctor could cut and clamp the umbilical cord. That sound right?
yes.
What do you think the odds are that at that moment he looked around the room and he said, "Hey, everybody, look, it's Margaret"?
Not much. Not much.
Just didn't happen, did it?
No,
And I think that one of the reasons that he didn't say that is he couldn't see a Margaret.
that's true.
All he could see was a baby.
Yes,
He could see a human body.
yes,
So there's a human body here, but everything else is just like aftermarket.
yes,
Yes. So there's a body here. I can tell that, at least within our relative world, there's a body here, because
Yes.
I can see that, because I can see that I'm inhabiting that body over there.
yes.
Let me mute everybody. Margaret, you'll have to unmute again because I just muted everybody, given the fact that we had background noise. So,
Okay.
So Margaret, say something now so we get the screen back to you right now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Thank you very much. Okay, so we were talking about that there's a body here.
Yes,
Yes, so we can all see a body. If you walked into a courtroom and said, "Your Honor, I'm supposed to prove to you that there's a body in the room," I don't think you'd have to go any further. I think we'd all see it.
yes,
But I think the reason the doctor didn't say, "Look, everybody, it's Margaret," is because the doctor actually couldn't see a Margaret.
yes,
Isn't that right?
yes,
He could see what he could really see. You tell me if I'm wrong, but what he could really see was, just using a weight out of the air, 7-pound, 2-ounce unit. Is that right?
yes, yes,
So he's looking at a 7-pound, 2-inch unit, right? And when now that the umbilical cord is cut or whatever, is there a Margaret in that room?
There's a consciousness that comes with the body.
Oh, there's a consciousness in the room.
So
I'm with
that
you
consciousness
completely.
has continued, even though the body has changed. That
Yeah,
same.
right. So do you feel like that consciousness is named Margaret? Is that what you?
Yeah. Okay. So within this unit, this consciousness is named.
Now, are you okay? I'm not going to argue that, but tell me, that consciousness that's in the unit, does it stop at the edge of that body?
No, it doesn't.
I've heard everything is made out of consciousness. Have you ever heard that?
Yes, and when we were doing that exercise and I was feeling me, it didn't stop at the end of the body.
That's exactly right. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
So that's what I'm out to discover here. That's our goal, is to find out what that is. Because whatever it is, what I want you to notice is that if I were to ask you this question, just bluntly, straight on. So we've just had an objective look at birth. Would you agree?
Yes.
So from this objective perspective, which you and I can agree on, and I think everybody else in the room, I've never had anyone disagree with that. So it's an objective look at birth. So given this objective look at birth, I would like for you to tell me right now, which arrived on our planet first, that body or Margaret?
Well, Margaret, because the name didn't come.
Margaret, or are you sure? I asked you which came here first, which arrived first?
Are we talking about the consciousness or the just the name?
Oh, no. We're talking about Margaret. I don't know about this consciousness thing. We'll discuss that later. But right now, we're still looking for Margaret.
Same time.
Is that right? Why couldn't the doctor see a Margaret?
Because he's not noticing the inner life inside the.
Oh, I think he is. I mean, I think he can see that there's aliveness there. It's wiggling. But he's just not, when he looks at that, what if somebody asked me, what have you got over there? So he'd say a wiggly baby. He wouldn't say a wiggly Margaret, would he?
No.
No, he wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't.
No. So which got here first? The wiggly baby or a wiggly Margaret? Is there a wiggly Margaret? What's arrived on our planet at that moment?
The answer to your question is Margaret came after the baby, but I'm feeling.
But see, the but is what's been screwing you up for all these years.
Okay.
What if you didn't but that statement and you just repeated for yourself, for your own sake, what you just told me, which is true?
Yes, that Margaret came after the baby.
Yeah, which means this may seem like nothing, but it's really very important.
Yes.
Because what we can see now is that whatever that body is,
yes,
it's not a Margaret because it got here first.
Yes.
Ooh. So let's go back to your evidence table. Now, how are you going to prove to me that there's a Margaret? You're not going to be able to point to that body. You're not going to be able to point to husband because that's the body's husband. It's the, you can't point to children, it's the body's children. If you point toward a diploma, that's the body went to college.
Well, I'm going to say the life that lives in, that inhabits this body is Margaret.
So that's what you're going to say. Now, are you going to stick with that? Because what if I were to tell you that's absolutely not true? Would you believe me at all?
In my mind, I know there's only one consciousness.
Okay.
I know this.
So in your mind, which is separate from consciousness, is that correct?
No.
Okay, so in your mind, you know that there's only one consciousness. Where's your mind?
Well, it's in everything.
Oh, so it, but
actually, yes, I've cancelled my argument, haven't I? Yes.
Canceled your argument. Yeah.
Yes, it's not within the space. It's actually in all space.
Yeah. It actually, when you were talking about the consciousness thing and the internal life and all that, can you tell me, can you find the dividing line between that living presence and space?
No.
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 So what if you actually, what you've heard, I bet that, you know, they told me when I was coming along, they used to say, you know, Fred, the truth is that you're the awake space or the aware space or the peaceful space or all this kind of stuff. The living aliveness, your oneness, all of these things. So where are you not? I mean, how many things do you think there are when we talk about oneness?
Well, there's only oneness.
Oh, there's only oneness.
So everything's within it, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I do.
You're me and I'm you, and everything is.
Right. I understand what you mean very well. So I don't think you do yet, but I do.
No.
So let's look. So everything, there's only one thing going on. Is that right?
Yes.
That's actually the core belief of all forms of non-duality. So it's just one thing going on. I don't care if you're a Sufi or a Zen master or an Advaita teacher. The essential teaching, or Jesus, I and the Father are one. It doesn't sound like he was counting two there.
Right. No.
Referring
No.
to one, right? So the teachings all refer to when you get right down to the nub, even if we don't understand it because we don't understand a culture or something, they're all talking about oneness. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes.
And that's what actually, and now let's look at our teachers, the teachers of this. I mean, I don't know that I have a lineage, but if I did, it would be with Nisargadatta and Ramana Maharshi and stuff like this. And wasn't Ramana's message also, they would ask him, and wasn't his message also oneness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you and I would have to say right now that we're a pair of non-dualists, don't you think? Be hard for us to declare that we're not a pair of non-dualists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as a pair of non-dualists, we're looking at this question. We know what the teachers have said. We know what the teachings have said, the scripture and all of that. And given that there's only one thing going on, is there any way that you can report to me that you're not it?
No.
You have to be it, don't you?
Yes. My first response was to say part of it, but that's not
you said,
possible.
yeah,
It has
right,
to be it.
right.
Has to
Yeah.
be it.
What part of oneness? I mean, it's just wholeness, right?
Yes.
I don't know
Yes.
about parts of wholeness. Now, I
Yes,
do know
yes.
about appearances within wholeness.
Yes.
You and I don't look the same.
Yes.
I wouldn't even marry Betsy if we looked the same, right? So there are lots of different appearances.
Yes.
But, like this is a silver ring. And if I had I do have a silver necklace on, and if I took my silver ring and my silver necklace and I melted them down, then actually I could probably come up with a third silver bracelet, right?
Right.
Right. So the appearance of the silver would have changed, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Would it still be the same silver?
Same silver. Yes.
So what we're seeing here, I just want you to notice, because this is what probably many people in the room are confused about, is that what we're talking, when we speak of oneness, we're not talking about sameness.
Yes.
We're talking
Yes.
about oneness.
Yes.
So this space that you and I have been talking about, okay?
Yes.
What I want you to do right now is you just notice the space all around you, the space that's behind everything and above everything and below everything and surrounding everything and in front of everything. You see this, you're just noticing the space?
Yes.
Okay, so right now what I want you to do is I want you to turn all of that space into a solid.
Into a solid.
Mm-hmm. Now tell me how many spaces you count.
There's just one space.
One space. And I have a lot of people who are looking for oneness.
That's great.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Where's the awareness? Even you've been like, you came here in the hopes that I could, hook you up with higher awareness or whatever, right? So my question is, what connections do you think, how many connections do you think oneness has?
How many connections?
Yeah.
Well, everything is within oneness, so I don't know.
So no connections, would that be fair? You seem to be floundering around about, but that seems to be where you're headed.
Yes.
It doesn't have any connections, does it?
Because everything's in it. So
Everything's already in it, and which includes that unit and this one.
Yes.
So there's no doubt, there actually can be no doubt that this is oneness talking to oneness, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, tell me, my dear oneness, tell me what it is that we're talking about. Oneness.
Just what is.
I see. So this is
Whatever's.
oneness talking to oneness about oneness, which is what is.
Yes.
Oh, you mean this what is?
Just the way it is.
Just the way it is. Right. Okay, perfect. So
Yes.
what I want you to notice is that this is not Margaret noticing this, is it?
My first response is it is.
When
but
you
I
say
guess
my first response, who's talking to me?
me, Margaret. But then
No, wait a minute. You just got through
There
telling
is
me there
no
was no
Margaret.
Margaret.
There is no
So there's
Margaret,
no
yes.
possibility that a Margaret didn't. You see,
Yeah.
this is the
Yes.
reason I told you about the back and forth, and don't take offense because I just jump at you because that's what
Yes.
I'm doing.
It's an automatic to almost have separation, to do an instant separation. I can see now that, yes. But there's no, it's just isness.
There's no separation, is there?
No.
Listen to the sage, everybody. Listen to the sage. See?
Yes.
Now you're the sage.
Okay.
But I'm not talking to Margaret, am I?
No.
Tell me, how tall is Margaret?
Well, there's so many levels to that.
Well, just tell me how tall Margaret is. It's a simple question.
Okay, well, the Margaret with the body, she's
If I were to talk about the body, I'll call on
there's
it.
no height. There's no height.
There's no height to Margaret.
No.
How much does Margaret weigh?
There's no.
Nothing. And how much volume do you think that Margaret takes up?
None.
None. Well, let me tell you, I mean, I'm in the South and I'm an old man, but where I come from, we call something that has no height, no weight, and no volume, we call that an idea.
Okay.
So something has had an idea that it was that unit, didn't it?
Yes.
And only that unit.
Yes.
Yes, and that's not a correct view, is it?
No.
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 Are you other than the awakeness that you discovered?
No.
No, there's no line, there's no separation at all. So you have to be it, don't you?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, you have to be it. Now, let me ask you a few questions. And when we talk about it, I mean, there's just one of you, right?
There's only one.
There's only one, exactly. So now I want you to tell me oneness. I'll just refer to you as oneness for a little while, if you don't mind, because if the shoe fits, darling, wear it. So,
Yes.
So oneness, is there anything above you?
No.
Oneness, is there anything below you?
No.
Oneness, is there anything to the left of you? Or the
No.
right of you? No. So, and there's no oneness, nothing else in front or behind you, is there?
No.
There's just oneness and only oneness. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so oneness, let me ask you a quick question. Oneness, I just love you, but have you been waiting for another oneness to show up?
Hell knows what. I don't know what I've been waiting for.
You've been
but
waiting
I've
for
already-
another oneness because you and I, you see that we're the same thing, correct?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Different appearances, but the same thing.
Yes.
So what we're talking about is oneness, and the oneness that we're talking about really has to be this oneness, doesn't it?
There's only the one.
So the truth is that you were waiting for a different oneness because it never occurred to you, and it didn't occur to me until awakening occurred. It never occurred to you and I, geniuses that we are, spiritual, elevated folks that we are. It never even occurred to us one time that oneness looks like this.
This. Oh. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. But now oneness, just because that seems kind of tricky, maybe Fred's tricking me, I want you to check that. So given that when last time I checked on oneness, there was just one of them, is that right?
Yes.
So given that there's oneness and only oneness, this is verified by your own experience right now.
Yes.
So tell me, is there any way that this cannot be oneness?
No, there's
No.
only one. Yes, but that's it.
So when that body went looking for oneness, that was actually oneness looking for oneness, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes. And where is the one? What's the one place that what's
It's
the
already here.
It's already here. Oh, beautiful, dear. Perfect.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Oh, this is going to make me famous on YouTube, dear. You too.
Oh,
So,
wow.
the funny thing is that we've been taught in non-duality and every other school that awakening is the hard part. That's the thing that we're taught. That's the thing. It may take you several lives to do this, or they'll tell you, well, you need to sit for 30 years in order to get this thing, or you need to quit smoking, quit drinking, quit screwing, quit screwing around, quit everything. You need to get pure. You need to, you need to pray. You need to bow. You need to scrape. You need to, and own and own and own and own. Let me tell you, let me ask you, I'm not saying that meditation and all those things can't have an indirect bearing on this, but none of those things have a direct connection to awakening, do they?
No, all the doing that I've been doing.
No,
Yes.
This is the way you do it. And that's what I discovered 12 years ago.
Yes.
I discovered that 12 years ago. And so that's when I woke up 15 years ago, but I discovered this about 12 years ago. It was, I say I discovered it, but there's no one here to have discovered it.
Right.
Because you can see there's no Fred.
There just isness. It's just
There's
what
just
it is.
isness. That's exactly right. And so you can probably see very easily, you should be able to see very easily, there's no teacher here, is there?
It's just a label.
It's just a label. It's just a label, but there's actually no separate teacher that's teaching us about non-duality, is there?
No.
And therein lies the rub. Think about how many teachers have been trying to teach that unit or the character, Margaret character, how to wake up.
Yes.
Can't happen, can it?
Well, they do say that meditation makes you more lucky in waking up.
I'm not saying that doesn't have an indirect relationship. Let me ask you, you were talking to me for about 15 minutes before you woke up. You've been talking to me for a while since.
Yes.
15 minutes shorter than 30 years?
No.
Excuse me. Well, you're talking to me. You're talking from awakeness, and you're absolutely.
Yes, because there's only now.
There's no time.
There's no time. There's only now. So
Margaret, you can't experience time, can you?
Now when I'm talking.
Well, then when you're talking as anything else, you're lying.
Well, it's made up.
It's made up. That's what I want to say. You don't mean the harsh thing of lying, but that's all relativity, and that's all well and good. Part of clearing is learning to use everyday, ordinary language without believing it.
Yes. Because there's only now. There's nothing else. Yeah.
When I went for a lung test a couple of days ago, and during it, the nurse really pressed me on what it is I do for a living. I tried not to tell her for quite a while because I don't really like to go out over that, especially in South Carolina. And she wasn't paying me, so no obligation. And I told her, and I finally got it down. I said, well, okay. I said, I guess what you could say is sort of what I teach is sort of about, acceptance and gratitude. And she said, oh, people staying in the now. And I said, yeah. And she said, Well, people have trouble staying in the now because there really is no separate now, is there? When she said that, I like to fell out that booth. And what she did not, she was not a truly awakened being, but man, she was right on the edge of it. We talked about it for the rest of the time that I was there. It was just stunning. Because there is, there in the absence of a Margaret or Fred, time cannot be experienced.
Correct.
And so let me ask you this, in the absence of a Margaret, because there isn't one here, and here's the shocking part. Do you notice that there never was one here?
All I notice is what's now. I don't even know.
Right, right. There's no Margaret, and there never was a Margaret.
Right.
So let me ask you this. So the philosophers and theologians have been fighting for, you know, or discussing back and forth for thousands of years. They've been saying, so we have free will or we don't have free will. That's been the argument they just have had all along, isn't it?
Yes.
Do we have free will or do we not have free will? I have a different question, which you will understand perfectly right now. Margaret, who in the hell are they talking about?
There is, all there is just.
It's a moot question.
How could it, it's not even a.
It's not even a, that I get it. It's just not worth even pursuing, is it?
No.
No. See, this is true. This is the truth coming home to roost right here, right now. It's trained this thing to help it. You get that?
Yes.
I've woken up a couple of thousand people, I would imagine. I don't know what the numbers are, but they're high. And even a blind squirrel can find a nut once, you know, from time to time. And it still can take me a while, but you promised me at the beginning that you were ready and you were open and you were really ready to revoke your old ideas. Because the problem is that everybody comes to me, and what they, and actually most people that come to me wake up, but a very high percentage. But when we start out, where they're starting out is they're looking to add enlightenment to Fred or Margaret's bag of tricks.
And I've done that.
Yes, of course. Well, I did too, but only for 24 years.
A lot longer in my case.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, nobody's going to accuse me of being a quick study, so you can be at home here. This was a long-term seeker.
Yes.
And my only hope, it really, you know, I'm not going to live long enough for this body to have been awake longer than it was asleep, I don't think, but unless I live over 100, and I don't expect that. I don't even want that. So when we look at things, when you look at the world, can you find anything wrong?
It's not possible.
It's not possible. Thank you, dear. Listen to the sage. Listen to your own mouth. You're now telling the truth that satsangs have been, some teachers have been trying to tell you about. The problem is, do you notice that whatever it is that you are, it's actually prior to language, isn't it?
Well, yes, because language is within it. So yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So do you notice that talking about awakening or talking about enlightenment is never going to get the point across, is it?
No, it's pointers. It's always
pointers. And the point, and what do we do? Here's the most famous pointer of all, probably. You are not the body. So when I hear that, here's what I heard for 53 years or whatever it is, 52, I don't know, a lot of years. What I heard when I said that, because I heard that the first time and I thought, wow, that's just crazy. And then as I hung around non-duality, well, maybe it's not crazy, it's just weird. And then as I hung around non-duality and read books and all this, I came to believe, okay, well, that's right. You know, there really is, you know, just one thing. There's just one thing. And, but I wanted to see that one thing objectively. I wanted to see it over there, didn't I? Didn't you? I want to bump into oneness.
Yes, it was trying to add something to the Margaret character.
Trying to add, and awakening is not a process of addition, is it?
No,
No, it's a process of subtraction, is it not?
it's just making all the divisions one. Once you see that everything is within it, it's
Yeah,
you can't unsee it.
there's just no separation.
Correct.
And you can see that with the clarity that you have right now. And I'm going to advise you, keep coming to satsang. I'm not trying to threaten you, but I am going to tell you that this thing can be very fleeting, and it is for most people. Follow up on it. I have a class, or I have a room full of people who can tell you that they got this thing and they kept coming back and they kept following up on it. See, this thing is too damn simple, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, the human mind, they don't want all that simple stuff.
Yeah.
What the human mind wants is something complex, something to really gnaw on. Let's debate this. Do you see where it's all nonsense?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's just you and only you, isn't there, dear?
There's only the one.
Only the one. So
I can't even use the word you. It's like.
Yeah, well, I know it's hard to wear it.
Yes.
But if you don't, you're likely to wear Margaret.
Yes. Yes.
So come to recognize that when I say oneness, come to recognize I'm talking about you.
Yes.
I'm also talking about this, but I'm also talking about everybody in this room and everybody on the planet.
Yes.
And my dogs and the trees in my yard.
Yes.
Yes. Just one thing. And we just say, and I can promise you, I have woken up physicists with the math of one. The math of one, which you already see. The math of one says that 1 equals 1, which seems to be the most obvious thing in the world. But we can't see it until we can. And you could have gone forever.
Yes.
It seems like you could have, but you couldn't because you came here.
Yes.
That's the way it works. See, what were the odds that you and I were going to have this discussion at the beginning of this free satsang? Have we ever met each other?
Oh, so.
No. So well, then, what were the odds that you and I were to meet here at the beginning of this satsang so YouTubers and everybody else can see how awakening really works? Well, they were 100%, dear.
Oh. It's amazing, really.
It is amazing. Yeah.
It's simple.
It's simple. It's so simple, and everybody made it so complex, and they've added it on with robes and funny hats and different exercises and all this, and all that made is charming. Listen, I love mysticism as well as anybody. This house looks like a mystical museum. There's probably 50 statues of Buddha and everybody, and Jesus and the Roman gods and the Hindu gods, and everybody, and Zen masters, of everybody in this house. And it has nothing to do with what we're doing here, does it?
No.
No, it's just the way we decorate.
Yes.
Because that makes us, that gives us a, it does lend itself to having to notice that everybody's pointing out this simple truth. Everybody's pointing out this simple truth. And there's nothing simpler than me looking at it. All I have to do is look at it.
Yes.
I've got clients who tell me, that actually that the moment that we start satsang, there's a change, or particularly one-on-one meetings, but satsang too. The moment we start, there's a change. Because why? Because they're not looking at a Fred Davis. There's no Fred Davis to applaud here, or to put on a pedestal. What the only reason that the teaching is effective here is that the Fred Davis never was here, and what is left is very, very ordinary. Has to be, doesn't it?
Yes.
There's nothing special.
No.
There's a book out there, non-dual book, it's called Nothing Special.
Yes.
Nirmala was a big teacher when I came along. And I think he's still teaching, for part I know. He's older than I am, I think, but it may not be. He may be younger than I am, I don't know. But he's, last time I heard, he was still teaching, and he was very nice to me and his wife too. So there's, when we heard teachers telling us to just surrender to this, wasn't the problem was that we didn't understand that they were saying that they were talking about this?
Right now, I don't even understand that term, surrender.
Oh yeah, right. There's okay, right. Because there's no one to surrender, is there?
Yeah, I mean, I would have understood you better.
Yeah. No, I completely get it. You're pure, and that's perfect. You're not even understanding. That's the best answer you could have given me. So see if you can follow this. This is what I think now. This is what I teach now. There's no one here to surrender. So all of this surrender stuff that we've gotten all our whole life, it's bunk.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that there's not an attempt to get the ego down and all of that. Some of that may be helped, but ultimately ego cannot wake up the ego.
Because it has nothing.
It has nothing to do with it.
No.
Millions of people out there right now trying to wake up their ego with their ego. And they got some, and sometimes they go to a meeting and there may be an ego teaching them.
Yeah.
Because that ego is trying to teach these other unfortunate egos that just don't be able to seem to get this, how to realize. What do you have to do to reach spiritual realization?
I don't know, get out of the way.
Get out of the way. Get out of the way.
Just get out of the way.
Just notice it. That
Yeah,
noticing,
it's an undoing. I think that's probably the best.
non-doing. That's it. There's nothing to do. Realization is not about doing anything. It's about noticing what is.
Yes.
And while you're noticing what is, let me ask you just a couple of questions and then we'll call the squits and I'll go to somebody else. But this has been helpful to everybody in the room. I happen to know that. So there's a reason I don't mind going on and on with you, because there's no you there. And there's nothing I like better than talking to myself. Unless it's waking myself up. You get that?
Yes.
So I can't remember what I was going to say now. It's fine. The words are failing me. That tells me that we're done.
Thank you. I do want to ask you, are you making this recording available? Because
It's going to be on YouTube.
Thank you. I just recognize the fragility of this and I understand what you're saying.
Yes. It'll be very
Just
helpful to others, but it'll be
everything.
particularly helpful to you, won't it?
Thank you so much. Oh my God. Thank you. I cannot. Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you, love. We've done good. It's been just absolutely lovely. And now we'll switch over and we will talk to Vera. Hi, Vera. Bye, Margaret, me. Vera, come on in.
Yes. Yeah. Hi.
Hey,
hi
dear,
there.
how are you?
I guess I'm okay if there's a you here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If there's a you here, if there's a you there, is there?
There's just oneness. There's just consciousness.
It's just consciousness, isn't that right? So, do you think there's really such a thing as higher consciousness?
No.
No, there's no such thing as higher consciousness. Within this everyday consciousness, there are endless gradations of clarity. And that's actually what I spend 80% of my time on, is not waking people up. That's what got me known. But my time really is spent on helping people clear, because what happened to me after the first awakening here, it was brief, but the first awakening here, Oh, it was just clear as a bell. I mean, it was, oh. I could see there's just one thing and that was it, right? Or however you want to put that. It was, what I saw really was I guess that was basically it. I saw there was one thing, there was no Fred. But immediately following that, like when that began to fade, and that began to fade because I started believing thoughts again. And when I started believing thoughts, clarity faded because the first thought was, I got to hang on to this. And let me ask you.
But who's believing these thoughts?
That's it. That's right. Yeah. And now here's the thing. You can, thoughts arise. They don't arise
Right.
from anybody or to anybody, but thoughts arise. Is that right?
Right, they just arise in this
Yeah.
field of whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts arise.
So then what's there to awaken?
Oh, no
There's
one,
no-
nobody
wake-
wakes up. There's no one to wake up, is there?
Well, there's nobody.
There's nobody, exactly. So there's no true awakening because, listen, your name is awakeness. I don't believe that there's anything in the term awakeness that talks about that you get to sleep.
Right. There's no sleepiness.
There's no sleepiness, so
Awake.
there can't be any awakening. So what it really is, the reason that I have come to lean on the word very heavily, realization. Realization, because they're just realization, but it's not realization by Fred or Vera. It's real, it's just awakeness, noticing, hey, there's only awakeness. And you have to notice that that means that whatever it is over there that thought it was a Vera or Vera, that's actually, it was actually awakeness, believing it was that body. And it was the one little, it believed that consciousness was captured inside that body, did it not?
Well, that's what I'm not clear about, that there's awakeness and
So when you tell me
consciousness.
you're
The
not clear
difference-
about it, tell me,
what the
Yeah.
difference is
Work
between
with-
consciousness
work with me,
and awakeness.
work with me.
There's-
Stop.
Yeah, if there's just
Stop,
consciousness,
Stop. You're not going to work yourself out of this. Let me help you, okay? I'll tell you the same thing that I told Margaret, which is don't take offense when I interrupt you and stuff. It's because when I interrupt you, honestly, it's because you're talking nonsense. So let's get back to the truth, okay? So, and where time is at too much of a premium here to talk nonsense between us. So when what did you say? You said, well, I have an idea of that or something like that.
What's
Wasn't
the
it?
difference?
What's the difference? What's the difference? So let me ask you a question. Who wants to know? What's talking to me when you say, what's the difference?
just the character probably. the
Just a
unit.
character, just a unit. So in other words, notice that you are awakeness. Is that true?
I'm awakeness or consciousness.
Well, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. We're at
Yeah, whatever you
at
wanna
this
call
level,
it,
we're
yeah.
talking about the same thing. If there are other levels where we get more particular, but at this level, we're talking about the same thing. You are
Yeah.
consciousness.
Okay.
So right now, can you find anything here that is missing?
There's nothing missing.
There's nothing missing. It's all already here, isn't it?
Well, whatever is here is here. Yeah.
Whatever is here is here,
Mhm.
which is, and so let me ask you, when we're talking about this here, we're talking about this here, are we not? We're talking about here. So what I want to know is
But the
there
only
any
thing that's talking is probably the unit. The unit is talking over.
units? So what's happening is that, just notice this, because you're not doing that talking. There's no you over there to do it. What's happening is that thought patterns are arising. They are right. Just like you go to the doctor to get your reflexes checked. These are reflexive, and he does it. He hits you on the knee and your leg flies up, right? And
Yeah.
and then you,
Automatic.
huh?
It's automatic. Yeah.
It's automatic. And you can't, can you stop that reflex?
No,
No, because you're not doing it, are you?
there's no
just
me doing
There's no me to do it. It's just happening.
it. Just
So the same thing is that whenever you and I come to the agreement that, well, there's just no Vera, up comes a thought pattern that wants to know, I want to know the difference, wants to know, well, that can't quite be true, or I think I understand that. I'm very close to understanding. I just need one more thing. It's all these automated thoughts that arise, right? But do you notice that they're not your thoughts?
No, there's no me.
No. So here's another question. If these thoughts arise and they're not even yours, are you required to believe them?
No.
And there's the magic. But the thing is, everybody needs to understand that you will, you will believe them by default. When I say you, it's awakeness, it's divine hypnosis. You get that? It's divine hypnosis. It's divine self-hypnosis. So it is, what was I saying? Oh, I didn't know. Okay, so the divine hypnosis is where awakeness experiences itself, believes itself to be this one and that one and the other, and each one of the other 8 billion. But the funny thing is that all 8 billion of the other human units on this planet, they all think they're the center of the universe. But they can't be, because I am. That's what my body tells me, is that, and who's it telling? Nobody. That's a false reference. There's no me here, but just for the sake of the languaging, what the body is telling really the mind, it's the mind telling the mind, but it's doing it through the body, that this body is the center of the universe. Look, everywhere I look, I'm right in the middle. Because vision starts here or it really comes in, but it feels like it starts here and goes out in a conical fashion, and it encompasses everything. So it feels like I'm the center of the universe, and it feels like, I'm the one that's right. I mean, I'm sorry, folks, but you see, do you identify with this? Do you see this?
Well, every unit talks like that.
Exactly. Every single one of them. Which one do you think is right? It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
every unit thinks it's right.
and
Just
when you
like
have every unit when you have every unit just looking out for itself, just trying to get mine, do you see how we might be able to destroy a planet in fairly short order doing that?
I guess, but it's
But even that, I mean, but it's not, I'm not saying that's a big deal, but I'm saying for a lot of people.
Not a big deal, yeah.
Right, exactly. But we can notice that within relativity, it is a big deal, because we don't want to rule out the value of relativity, because relativity is important. Your coming here today was important, but you can easily see it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. So everything counts. That gets us back into the stream of enjoying this life. There's experience of love for my wife and my dogs and this home and our yard, and for everybody in this room and everybody outside of this room. There's only love. So there is this loving. There's not love like an entity or something. There's just this loving. And notice that this oneness, this thing that you're experiencing, that the yourself that's being experienced right now, consciousness. Is there any way that this could be different?
What could be different?
What is?
No.
No. So there's actually, you notice there's no comparison to what is there?
It just is.
It just is. There's no comparison to what is, because it just is. And there's actually no alternative to what is there?
No.
No, there's no alternative. This is it. This is it. But the thing is that everybody on the planet, including millions and millions of seekers, They talk about what is, but we as a race, we just don't pay any attention to what is, do we? We pay attention to what? We pay attention to what we think about what is.
Right, but that is just what is happening as it is. If there's seekers all over the place, that's what's happening.
What's happening? There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
No,
Although there may be a wrong sense of experience for a given seeker, there probably will be, but it's not wrong.
no.
Everybody's exactly where they should be.
Well, every action or every manifestation is whatever it is
That's
in that moment,
Perfect. Perfect.
whatever you want to call it.
Listen to the sage. This room could be chock full of sages. I mean, Margaret's a sage, Vera's a sage. I've heard rumors that this is, but there's no one here, so I don't know what it's referring to. I don't know and there's no Margaret, no Vera either.
No.
No, there's no teacher.
Mm-hmm.
The living method of awakening is not Fred Davis's teaching. It's actually yours. If you can, you have to use your imagination and not get too finicky on it. But it's essentially, it's a method that you left yourself so that you could, like an alarm clock in the dream, so that you could wake up very fast anytime you really, really wanted to. Anybody who talks to me, anybody who goes through an awakening session, everybody gets essentially, and it's all over the map, but everybody essentially gets the same opportunity. And what I tell people is the only thing I need in a client, it's reading that question, Margaret, is I have to have a client who's willing and able to tell themselves the truth. You get that? When it's presented to them. In other words, not really a client, is it? It's awake, no. But awakeness has to be ready to tell itself the truth through that unit. It has to be ready. So it's not like the client got it wrong that didn't wake up. They couldn't have woken up in 1,000 years until it was time. And then they couldn't have avoided it to save their lives. Yes?
Well, you talk about awakeness as if it's some kind of a separate thing. That's
no. It's a way of, so here it is. We're in clearing, dear. You're learning to use ordinary language and not believe it.
Because there's nothing to awaken to. I mean,
there's nothing to awaken, and there's nothing to awaken to.
Right.
There's no such thing as awakening, is there?
No.
No, because there's no such thing really as sleeping, right? I mean,
right.
What would you be unawake to or unaware to? It's not. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
No.
So when I use those, it's not that I don't know what's going on. It means that I'm using. But see, this language can never tell it. That's one of the big problems, is that everybody out there is talking about realization, but no one is showing it to us. No one's because there's some language used here, but it's primarily what's happening is you can see that from the unit point of view, that what's always been the looking tool over there is attention. Yeah. When you came here, how did you know you were here? Attention told you.
Something tells me I'm here. That something is there, yeah.
Yeah. So, but and let me ask you this. What have I got right now in my hand?
What do you have in your hand? I don't see you.
You don't see it, right? Okay. So this is the trap that everybody falls into with trying to think oneness. You can't think it. It's not understandable.
Yeah, right. It's beyond thoughts.
Right.
It's beyond all these concepts.
So, and they say, well, if you're really oneness, why can't you see what's in Fred's hand? And what I want to tell you, oneness, is that I can see what's in Fred's hand, but it'd be stupid for me to try and use that unit to do it. I can just look down and see what's in Fred's hand. The Fred unit can see whatever the Fred unit's supposed to see. The Vera unit can see as much as the Vera unit can see. It's not like I am every fish that is swimming upriver in Canada right now. I know that I am every fish, but that fish doesn't know it's awakeness or that it's consciousness. It's not like that. But consciousness can come to know that it is the fish. Whereas the fisherman will be the guy on the bank looking at the fish. You follow me?
Well, consciousness knows it's all these things. Is that what you're saying? It knows it's
Yeah,
all
because
these.
it's not, well, it knows there's no all these things. Consciousness knows oneness. Consciousness is what it knows. There's only consciousness. What can come to recognize consciousness? Only consciousness. The difference is when consciousness comes to see consciousness, comes to notice consciousness, now what we have is what I would call conscious awakeness versus the unconscious awakeness that my neighbors are enjoying and have no wish to find their way out of. But they're not interested in non-duality. They're interested.
Right. Well, consciousness in that unit is not playing out that way.
No, it's just not playing out that way. So it's not like this is the right and that's the wrong, or this is the good and the bad. Although from here, I think we can say that this is much truer.
Well, there's all kinds of units that talk like that, so I don't know.
Well, what can you tell me from your truth right now?
Well, this unit can say, that there's only consciousness, and consciousness is aware of itself, and it can be aware through any unit or non-unit, or not be aware through any unit. I also feel when you mention animals that I can't say that consciousness is not aware in an animal.
Well, I think when I call my dog, he comes.
Yeah, so
that's attention. Would you say that attention, a decent definition of attention, might be focused consciousness?
I don't know. I have to think about it. But I think consciousness can be aware in an animal too.
Well, it is aware in an animal because there's only consciousness.
Right.
There's no my dog. There's no separate dog.
Right. The dog doesn't say my name is.
It doesn't tell stories.
Right. If anything, it's more conscious.
It is experiencing a different world because it is experiencing the world without a lot of commentary.
Right. Right.
We, as we thought we were, and as it is, when you think you're a unit, you don't experience much of the world. You primarily experience the commentary.
Yeah, right. All the chatter.
And that commentary is pretty much an argument with what is, isn't it?
Right.
It ought not to be like this. It shouldn't be like that. Well, how should things be? I don't know, but I know it should be like this.
So if there's a higher and lower, I put the animals higher.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, right. I get it completely. That's what I go along. Thank you very much, Vera.
Thank you.
You bet. And the next is my old friend Carter. Carter's been with me for a long time. Carter, how are you?
Just full of joy, just resonating from that first awakening. That it's funny whenever you see something like that, even you observe it, on video or somebody else, there's just you open more. It's
just one thing going on, and whenever awakeness becomes clear, in any so-called location. Because there's only one thing, a rising tide lifts all boats. It becomes a little easier for the next person. I think that's also part of why this unit is as skilled as it is. And it's because it's just, it just gets easier and easier because there's been so many people that woke up now.
Yeah, they're popping.
Yeah, it sounds like Tinkerbell to say whenever anybody wakes up, it makes it a little easier for everybody else. But in the language of everybody else's, which is false. But when oneness wakes up, it's a little easier for oneness to wake up. When oneness wakes up again, it's a little easier for oneness to wake up. It's just waking up through these so-called locations. None of this in the truest truth, none of this even is. But that's the truest truth, and but we don't need to talk about the truest truth all the time, because it becomes the non-dual police. I mean, we're just trying so hard to not say something that's not non-dual, and everybody might suspect, oh, he doesn't have it, I saw it, I caught him, he said him, he didn't say, right, he didn't say it, and he said, God Almighty, throw him out. These words don't matter. It's what we stack on top of these words that matter.
Right.
Because we put meaning on these words.
So I have a question, but I have a comment first, which was actually resonates, which is sometimes I forget, and it's
That's right.
A 4-year-old girl told her mommy. His husband told me this. 4-year-old told her mommy, "Mommy, I love you very, very much, but sometimes I forget."
Yes, right. Perfect.
And so what there's a whole lot of possibilities for clearing when you forget, but it seems like that the clearing, at least partially or even almost totally, happens with each time I forget to just wake up to, oh shit, I forgot,
Yeah, you forgot that there was nobody to forget.
Yeah, I just forgot who I
awakening.
bought in you what you said. I believed the thought,
Awakeness.
Oh God damn it! I believed the fucking thought again.
Yeah, you believe
My wife should have done this. Jesus Christ! Why?
Oh, I'm suffering like hell. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Because I believed my thoughts, and I'm responding to my imaginary world where a wife should do so and so, but you notice that she didn't. So it's an imaginary world. You're at that point, the body is living in a world where your wife does do that, and you're trying to live in a world where your wife doesn't. And the difference between those two, that's the gap of suffering. I'm trying to live. It shouldn't be raining, and how do you know? Well, because I think it shouldn't be raining. It shouldn't be raining. Is that true? No, but it shouldn't be. I'm telling you that. I mean, I've had people give me that ridiculous an argument many times. What it is so now
it says right here on the forecast that it's not going to rain.
That's right. These bastards, it can't be. So what we notice is that at that point, we have a body that is standing in the rain and declaring that it shouldn't be raining. And what we can do is we can test the content of that arising versus what our thoughts are. And the fact is that unit's being rained on. So if my thoughts are that unit shouldn't be being rained on, guess what? I'm suffering. And actually, it's awakeness suffering vicariously, whatever. I don't even know. I'm not even going to try to outthink.
I'm suffering, yeah.
So, but there's the sense of I'm suffering. So, what we do, and that's how we stay awake, is a fundamental guideline is just take whatever's in your head and compare it to what's happening. And if what's happening doesn't match what's in your head, you're wrong.
Shit. I went to MIT.
I know. That's the problem, is that, and it's even worse with the scholars and shit, because I've woken up every kind of everybody. And the problem is that sometimes the smarter you get, the harder it is to get this, because you just know in your heart that you know so much. And you get a pit of physicists against this thing, he will lose every time. But he will not believe that until he loses. In other words, they come to see, because I can remember, this is quoting a physicist. No, I can't tell you I'm not oneness. No, I can't. I have to be one. I have to be it. And 10 minutes later, I'm trying to move on with the session. And he's still sitting there mumbling, God, I have to be it. I have to be it. I can't, there's no way out of it. I know the math. I know the math. And it's like, no, the math you don't understand is the math of oneness, the math of one. 1 equals 1. Yeah.
Just one, is there any value in following up in the story if it keeps repeating? You know, it shouldn't be raining, or it shouldn't be, or the wife should
Well,
be
no,
dead.
you want to cut that thought off. You want to test, because here's what I was going to tell you earlier that I forgot to. This is the most critical thing. These units are hooked up to believe thought. That's automated. It's raining. It shouldn't be, right? I mean, this is all, but the first believed thought is what? The first believed thought for every unit on the planet, every time, everywhere, is I'm a Fred or I'm a Carter.
Yeah.
The moment that belief is believed, the second thought will arise right behind it. It's also automatic. And what that second thought will be is, and there's something wrong here. I'm Fred and there's something wrong here. Well, what's wrong here, Fred? Well, I don't know. I've kind of forgotten what's wrong, but I know I need to be worried. Right. I swear to God, I've experienced that in my life. I've forgotten what I needed to be worried about. And so there's no need to worry about anything. Who's to worry? What's to worry about? Oh, what is may become what is. Well, what is could like metamorph into what is. I mean, there's only what is. God, I hope I don't die. Right?
Yeah.
Can the unborn, which is what you are. You are this is the world of the born, the world of experiences. And what you are actually is the unborn. You are the unborn. And the unborn, the great thing about being the unborn is, given that you're unborn, you never have to die. Dying is the opposite of birth. Death is the opposite of birth. There is no opposite to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carter.
Thank you for all you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for
Fabulous.
thank you for being with me for the last 7, 8 years, whatever it is, right? And
Yeah.
and the good thing is, see, just to tell everybody here, the good news about Carter, because I woke up Carter 7 or 8 years ago, but we had some meetings and then we did it. And I'm not saying that you need to be addicted to this unit or anything like that. I'm just telling you Carter's story. Is that, but Carter kept coming back. Carter is a relentless seeker. It's just like that I quit smoking about 400 times before I quit smoking. But I was relentless in my quest. That unit, there's no Carter, as we all know. But that unit, just that sense, if you can imagine a localized consciousness, a sense of that, there's a sense of location. It's not true, but it's a sense. It's what we call it relativity. And you kept coming back. You followed up, and you woke up again and again and again and again for short periods and short periods. The problem is that the problem that was always there was that every time awakeness came to know the truth through that unit would say, this makes Carter special. Right? I mean, just same thing I did. I did the same thing. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people, you're not looking for a non-dual experience. I know you think you are, but this is the non-dual experience. You're already experiencing the non-dual experience. So when people come to me and they say, I got to have that non-dual experience, I wouldn't know what to do with them, but I play along. It's just as if they know what they're talking about. What they're really looking for is they're looking for a special dualistic experience, right? So that they can then, I got it. I finally got it. And I did this too. Don't think I'm throwing stones at anybody. And I raised my hand in 1992, and where there was awakening here, and I woke up, raised my hand. I was alone, but just if there had been a teacher there, I would have said, teacher, look at me. I got it. Fred is the special one. Please put a gold star by Fred's name, so everybody can see what Fred added to himself. Of course, the awakening was gone just that fast, but that's what we want. We just want the gold star, want the recognition, because what I really wanted was a great big gold star that I could wear on front of my shirt so everybody could see that I'm the one that woke up. And therefore, I'm the special Fred. And the moment there's any belief of a special Fred over here, this teaching will die.
Just to follow up on that, yeah, especially with things like the Finder's Course, where I saw people that just had these big awakenings that I wanted. And and now it's more and more there's just a peace with just being just this. Oh, it's just this.
A big awakening, a big
pretty neat. Yeah,
it's usually it is usually really a sign that character, so to speak, that body, that whatever, that localized consciousness was nowhere near awakening. It wasn't ready for awakening at all. And whereas with this teaching, even if the ones of you who didn't wake up here today or really get what's happening today, if you got something, fine, keep coming back, because it can happen. It happens suddenly unless it doesn't, right? There are no rules here, folks. This is a dream. Anything can happen. This is, and there's nothing actually we could say. And I know that Vera would agree. Is, and be done with it. Isness, and be done with it.
Just this.
Just this, and be done with it.
Pretty neat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you so much. Okay, so Will, come on in.
Hi, Fred. Thanks very much for taking me.
Hi, Will. How are you?
Oh, I'm quite a difficult state, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, I have a perception of God, Fred. I don't know if that's, at the beginning you mentioned this word God, and I wonder if that's part of your teaching also.
It's not technically, but if you can come to know truth via the devotion to a personal God, I have no problem with that. Don't think you need to get rid of your God in order to get this message. I've woken up Christians and Muslims and Hindus and Buddhists, Sufis, Jews, you name it. and if they want to stay with me, they can, great. But if they want, they come here for a while, spend some time with me, and then they go back to their old religion. They go back to the religion they were born in and raised in, where they have weddings. Like I don't officiate weddings or anything, or funerals, so I wouldn't know how to officiate a funeral. He's not really here. So there's nothing that will keep you from getting this message unless you think there's something that will keep you from getting this message. So don't think that your perception of and your experience even of a personal God is just ridiculous, and that we're going to laugh at you, because it's not ridiculous.
Yes, I find it's amazing that people see things so differently, that some people think in terms of a God and others don't. And I find it amazing how differently people see the situation.
Well, do you think it's how many gods do you count?
No, to me, it's obviously there's a divine intelligence.
Okay.
That's sublime, and
it's just, but are there two of them or three of them or just one?
no, there is one sublime intelligence.
So, and it's your experience that you experience that sublime intelligence?
Yes.
Yes, that's fine. The only difference between you and me is that I experience that divine intelligence, so to speak. I'm not even going to say intelligence, but I'll call it that for now. I experience that, the divine, without a dividing line. It's just what I've come to see is that there's simply no individual here. Because I mean, God is haven't we, in your experience, is God everything?
Yeah, what you've just said is exactly how people see they.
Well, let's not talk about people. Let's talk about you right here, right now. Screw other people. Save yourself. That's the message here. Yes. Save yourself.
Yes.
What if you were to take all of your attention away from anybody else and just put it on this moment?
Yes.
Yeah. Just while we're at it, just out of curiosity, there's something that believes that there's divine intelligence. You call it will. I call it divine intelligence. Because I don't recognize a separate anything. See, you believe you're the one thing outside of God. And yeah, I just noticed that there's one thing. See, when I talk about oneness, I include this unit. And you
yes. Well, I don't, and
as long as you don't, that's fine. If you're happy with what you've got, don't come here and worry about it. Anybody here ruining it. Just keep on doing what you're doing. If you're happy, you're fine. People come here usually because they're not happy.
Well, I'm not happy with it.
Oh, okay. Then in that case, you need to stop listening to you and start listening to me. And you need to stop worrying about other people and start worrying about paying attention to whatever it is that's there that thinks it's a will. See, I can't see a will.
Yeah.
There's no separate will in my experience. There's no separate anything in my experience. There's no separation in my experience, period. But I understand why you're confused. I was confused for decades.
Yes.
And I don't think that you're confused about it if that's what you want to do. But if you've got that, if that's your linchpin and you're still suffering, you might be in the right room, but you got to open up the mind. You're way too closed off to get where to really get what's happening here. You've got to open up your mind. You've got to look at your ideas and say, you know what? I've had these views my whole damn life. And I'm suffering like hell. They don't work. You could do that. They're not working for. I hear that God is and all of this, that, and the other, but is it working for you? Who cares about the rest of the world? It's all suffering is always personal suffering. Over here, there's no personal. There's no suffering.
Yes.
Okay. So keep coming back, but we're at this point, we're pressed on time. We won't get anywhere dramatic today. You should come to satsang. You should sit and listen. You should ask me questions and just be, but when you come to satsang, you want to bring two things. The same thing I ask everybody to bring to an awakening session is bring have an open mind and bring your sense of humor.
Yes.
Because I don't think your God's funny and mine is.
Yes.
All right.
Can I ask you a question now?
Okay.
Can one be separated? Like, this is what I feel is.
Can one be separated? Can one be separated? Well, let me ask you the question. Will, can one be separated from oneness?
Well, no.
Oh, listen to the sage. Listen to the sage. All you have to do is believe what just came out of your mouth.
Yes.
Just give that a lot of thought between now and the next time we meet.
Yes.
And it may open you up like crazy, okay?
Yes.
You just told me the truth. You don't need me to tell it to you. Although you may forget what you just told me, at which point you can come back and I'll remind you.
Thanks very much, Fred.
You are so very welcome. Thank you, Will. Glenda, my love, come on in, dear.
Hello, Fred.
Hey, dear, I'm on home ground here.
Yes. Wow, this has been absolutely amazing.
Glenda is in a special program of one with me. And she would, hopefully I knocked your socks off today.
Absolutely. Like in this state of the not knowing this,
That's it.
you know, which is, and I just, we know there's no Margaret, but thank you, Margaret,
Yeah.
for your openness and that awakening. It was just absolutely phenomenal to be
Witness.
experiencing. I brought tears to my eyes. And, you know, in terms of the experience of oneness, it was like, you know how you got excited, Fred?
Yes, right, right.
The joy of seeing the blossoming of truth.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely
Well, it does. I mean,
spectacular.
there's nothing there's nothing on the planet that excites me more than that.
Yeah.
It's the one thing
So-
that absolutely makes me go crazy.
I mean, it's late, so I don't know that we should get into a big discussion. I mean, you know, over here, there's always like the joy of being in the deep end of the pool that we
Yeah.
can't talk about.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I know that we call the relative oneness,
Yeah.
but in the deeper end of the pool, looking at everything that there isn't even an everything, the illusion of
Yeah.
the illusion of everything
Yeah,
that arises from the nothingness
that's correct.
or the void.
Yeah.
It's
amazing how convincing it is.
Yes, it is. But that's like, I know we don't call it oneness, but that's like oneness at a deeper level, like that. Even what seems to be hypnotizing us and is so real
Also part of
is actually that nothingness.
yes, that's right. Everything arises from that no thing. This
Yes,
is the manifested world.
Yeah.
And then there's, you know, we have an opposite to the manifested world, which is that, you know, that other experience that, you know, where it's not manifested and everything. But there is something beyond that that is more true, which is something that is void of experience.
Yeah. And this is it.
And this
is it.
rises, yeah. Well, actually, this can't be other than that.
Yes.
That
Is
equal to that.
Yes. That is, we don't know.
Yeah.
That is without language, without knowledge, without experience.
Yeah.
And expresses like this amazing play.
Yeah. It's an expression.
It's just all spectacular. I can't believe how extraordinary that this
We're
was.
lucky.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's perfect that I'm speaking at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not the beginning.
Yes.
Not the beginning.
I have two more questions. I'm going to talk
Yes.
to Michael and Martin, and
Okay.
I'm not taking any. No one. I'm not going to take any hand raises after that. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful speaking with you. As always, I will see you tomorrow at Satsang, and I hope to see more of Margaret and Vera.
Welcome to everybody that's here.
Yes.
Why don't, but anybody that's here that would like to come to tomorrow's satsang, Betsy, is that something that we can accommodate, or?
Yes. What do they need to pay?
No, just for the ones that are here, let's just give them a double dose.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
just,
They won't,
I'll send out an email.
Yeah,
and
send it,
then
and yeah,
Then they reply to it.
everybody that's up, well, we don't need to reply, they just need to show up. Or
Well,
not
then
show
I
up,
have to put everybody, yeah,
show up or not show up.
okay,
Right.
I will just add.
We're gonna send out the same list of 125 that we started with earlier today.
And they'll
And
be added to the ones that are gonna already be attending Sunday.
yeah, right, exactly. So we'll look at for your inbox again at 1:30 tomorrow, roundabouts there. And Betsy will put a link in there for you as well. And so if you want to come again tomorrow, you can. After that, we will be sending you some information on attending satsang regularly. It is not free, but it's doable, quite doable. Thank you, Glenda. Okay, Michael, come on, or no, it's Michael, right?
Yes,
Yes, Michael, come on in. Hey, Michael, how are you?
I'm doing well. My cat Gracie wanted to join us today.
Good. I didn't know you were that, Michael.
Oh,
Good to
is it
see you.
Michael?
Yeah. I thought that you were. I thought I was a different Michael.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
I just guessed that was who it was. I'm not disappointed.
Okay.
It's always both of them's me.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you taking my question.
My pleasure.
So earlier you were talking about how in oneness that you're everything, and you were talking about how oneness is able to experience the world through different units.
Mhm.
You were referring to a fish somewhere out of state from you, and that you know that you are the fish, even though the fish is not awakened. So what I'm trying to understand, I'm not sure how to word the question, I'm going to try, but how is it that you know that you are that fish? Since
Well, I don't even know which fish I'm talking about. I do know I'm all fish everywhere. So I'm not talking about a particular fish, but I'm all fish everywhere. I'm also all rabbits. and I am all beings, sentient or otherwise. So what happens is that it comes. I'm going to mute everybody, and you will have to unmute again. Okay.
okay.
Because there's background noise and I was not hearing you. Okay, now you can hear me again, right?
Yeah.
So there's the consciousness that's looking through these eyes is the same consciousness that's looking through those eyes, and actually the same consciousness that's looking through the kitty cat's eyes as well.
Yeah.
There's one consciousness. An awakened being knows that there's just one consciousness and that I am it. I'm looking through every pair of eyes simultaneously. It doesn't stop there, but that's a good way to go. So it's when there's one thing looking through all eyes, don't you now know that you're the cat?
So certainly, yes, from the standpoint of how you are describing it. Certainly isn't how.
Oh, the way I'm doing it is I'm telling the truth. What's your lie?
My lie, that's a good one. You got me on that. Is that I'm not experiencing it from that level.
Let me tell. All right, let me go. Is Margaret still here? All right.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Margaret. So
Yes. Hi.
let me tell you. I want you to answer his question, but I want you to do it by doing this. Margaret, when we started our session,
Yes.
and you were thinking you were a Margaret.
Yes.
Yes. So when you first got to the session,
Yes.
tell me if I'm wrong here, but I believe when we first got to the session that oneness was coming to oneness, and oneness was just a little bit grumbling about oneness because it was saying that oneness was not having the oneness experience. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Is there any other experience you can have?
No.
No. The only thing that oneness can experience is what?
Oneness.
Oh, so actually, so what's happening with Michael is that oneness is confused. It's believing the thoughts that are arising.
Well,
thoughts are not-
it's enjoying the separation. It's enjoying
It is enjoying the separation. That's right. It's not a mistake, is it?
No,
No.
there is no mistake.
Right. No, it's not a mistake. The separation is not a mistake. It's not like that's where God goofed. Right?
No.
It's
No.
just sort of thrilling for awakeness to come to awakening through individual units, come to know itself from this way. So actually, what's happening is that awakeness is believing that it's a Michael. And there are thoughts that are being experienced sort of locally, if we can use that word,
Mhm.
and they're not being questioned.
Yes.
Yes. Because if we don't question our thoughts, we are doomed to believe them.
Yes. And when I started, I talked about the consciousness within me.
Yes,
forgetting totally
that's right.
only the one consciousness.
That's it. That's right. There's no
In,
conscious.
out, whatever. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we have a resident sage now. I just wanted to be able to point that out, not just coming from me, but from coming from a living experience that has just started. So you certainly understand the so-called Michael's problem.
Yes. It's a
Yeah.
perception. Yes.
Yeah, it's not, but of course there's not really a Michael. Yeah. Thank you so much, dear.
Thank you.
Michael, say something and the camera will come back to you.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see it's gone to you now. Yeah. So the do you kind of understand that? Because see, the first thought that, as I mentioned earlier, the first thought that everybody believes is that it's awakeness that believes it. The first thought, it's awakeness that believes it through a unit. And when awakeness believes, I'm a Michael or I'm a Fred, then the experience will be of division.
Okay, got it.
But when awakeness is, but what if you were to establish, what if you were to speak from awakeness right now? What if you didn't wait? What if you were just to speak from awakeness right now? Just drop the Michael story for just 1 minute and tell me, can you find, in the absence of a Michael, which is not only not here, but has never been here, the consciousness that was here, that is here, has always been here. Well, not exactly, but
Sure.
We're splitting hairs now. I'm splitting hairs with myself, so to speak. So what if that body were to disappear and the consciousness that is engaged here remained?
Okay.
And that consciousness is you, okay?
Okay.
Just believe that. So, can you find anything wrong here?
No.
No. Can you find anything that's missing?
No.
Is there too much of anything?
Few things here in the room out of place, but I guess they're not missing.
Oh. Well, I mean, there are things out of the play in the room that are out of place. There's no Michael.
No.
So look over there and just look over there as awakeness and realize that the word room is just something you've assigned, just language that you're assigning value to.
Okay.
So there's nothing separate in that room. That everything I'm looking at is consciousness, and everything you're looking at is consciousness, and everything in between, so to speak. There's really nothing in between. If there's consciousness and only consciousness, which is what you are that consciousness. You at least believe that, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if believing yourself to be, genuinely believing yourself to be consciousness for just a minute,
Then I wouldn't be out of place, or that wouldn't be out of place.
that wouldn't be out of place, would it?
No.
No. And let me ask you one thing about consciousness. Here's a big question, but do you really need the world?
I don't know if I need it. I think it'd be a lot of fun, but I don't know if I would need it.
I'm asking consciousness. You can just tell me your own experience. Do you need the world? That's all. See, that you added stuff to it. My question was simply, do you need the world?
No.
No, but it desperately needs you, because through that, there is a sense of being. And in the absence of the sense of being, nothing can exist. So the sense of being arises from that sense of being, and consciousness are really the same thing. And they arise. I'm not saying that there's that, but I can't tell you that there's nothing before and there's nothing after, right?
Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. What was your experience? Tell me your memories, the memories that you have prior to the birth of the Michael unit.
None.
None, because there was no sense of being, because there was no body and there was no consciousness. Consciousness is literally the fruit of the body. If you think about an apple tree, its fruit is apples. A body has fruit too, and its fruit is consciousness.
Okay.
Okay. So when one of those things manifests, I don't know about how all that happens. That, you know, I'm just like you. We're spies here. We're told everything on a need to know basis. Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Thank you, Fred.
You bet. Okay, Martin, come on in.
Hey, Fred, and hi, everybody else.
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, you know. I'm
Good.
really enjoying it. And yeah, thank you so much for all your videos. I'm enjoying all the content. And
Good.
yeah. Well, I had a question. It might have been answered by the last one, but I'm still gonna ask it.
That's
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I get the same questions over and over and over, and I never get tired of them.
Yeah, you know, like this unit is a little bit extreme, you know, and I like going to extreme in all sort of ways. Maybe you can relate it. So that's
Like
a friend.
the body does.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. The body goes to all kinds sorts of extreme. You're in good shape and you like sort of some
Food,
extreme stuff.
actually, yeah. But also in terms of this experience, so I'm absolutely grateful for Margaret and all the other people like you helped to wake up him.
Yeah.
But then it has to be said, like it is sometimes, well, maybe often, it's quite an effort to not even maintain, but not to forget, as you said yourself, right? And so sorry, you were gonna say something?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So my question is really to the extreme. So sometimes I'm sleeping and I just have the sense of unity and all this. Other nights I might be sleeping and I sort of feel like I cannot breathe, you know, like I'm
talking
dying.
about that well, that may be something you need to see a physician about. I'm not,
No.
you know,
It's like
sleep disorders is not actually my business. But
no. Yeah.
but when you're talking about your experience, whether it's at night or in the day or anything else, who's talking? You ever ask that?
I have.
Well, who is it? Point out. I mean, I can't even see a Martin.
Me neither.
Oh, you can't see a Martin either. Then what's happening is that you're lost in language. You're what you know, I had a client the other day, and I said, I told Betsy, I said she was lost in the language of her own experience. She just, and the problem is they were, so if you were to, what if you were not a Martin? Or if there's no Martin, can you be a Martin? Huh? No. So in the absence of a Martin right now, because you've already told me there isn't one, right? So without checking with Martin, how are things here right now?
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
And how are things in the absence of a Martin? How would you imagine things are all the time?
Say again?
But there really is no time, so I'm kind of throwing you off. But in the absence of a Martin, can you find anything missing here?
No, no. I was more like referring to.
When you say, I want to know who the I is that you're talking about. I want to know what that's referring to, because I think that that's a false reference. That's, in other words, and a false reference is like this. It's like, let me ask you, does the King of America need a haircut? Well, America ain't got no king. Oh, but see what happened, but we stopped you dead. We threw you a ringer by having a false reference that there was a King of America. And I'm going beyond that and asking you, does he need a haircut or not? You're not even checking to see if there's a king. You're just going, oh God, I don't know if he needs a haircut, right? So that's a false reference. If I say, I am going to the river, that's a false reference. That it could be this body referring to the fact that it's going to the river, and within relativity, that would be true. But within the absolute and the seeing of the truth, there's no separate body and there's no river.
Okay, so just hypothetically, imagine you've been set on fire.
Hypothetically is not going to work here. I don't do hypotheticals. You've got to talk to me about the truth, because that's all I talk about. So in the absence of a Martin, if you had to stand as awakeness right now, what if you were it, the whole thing, the whole damn thing right now? The thing that thinks that it's a Martin, what if that's not a Martin? The thing that thinks it's a Martin, you saw others fail. Can you prove to me that there is a Martin without referencing that body?
No.
No. So what do you find here in the absence of a Martin?
Just this.
Oh, just this. You mean this, is that right?
Yeah.
Not some other this.
No.
So when you hear all the teachers say, well, there's just this, you just didn't know they were talking about this.
Yeah.
You thought they were talking about a higher level sort of this. This, like, like all the spiritual teachers talk about, there must be a higher something or another. But what if there's not? What if that's just language?
Yeah.
If there's nothing other than this, what is your experience? It can't be as a that. You can be working through that, but you cannot be that, because you're this. And this has no borders, and that does, at least within relativity. What is talking to me right now if there is no Martin? And I want to tell you, just trust me for 1 minute, there's no Martin. So what's talking to me?
Yeah.
And there's no Martin. And do you notice that you're not talking to a Fred?
Yeah.
There's no Martin and there's no Fred. And there's no Margaret or Vera or Glenda or Carter. There's just one thing. See, and what we fail to do is we fail to actually count. When we talk about oneness or the one thing going on, we fail to actually count the one things that are going on. See, because first thing we do is we start from two-ness. I'm looking for oneness. I have clients that come to me, and this will really be a laugh for some of you. I mean, I have clients that come to me and say, Fred, I've got to merge with oneness. I understand that. That was my experience for years too. But let me ask you this, Martin. What is there, do you think, that's outside of oneness that could ever merge with oneness?
Nothing can merge with nothing.
Oh, no. Listen to the sage. And that's going to be the end of the meeting. Thank you very much. Come back. Come tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you will get a link tomorrow at 1:30. Attend at your own risk, because you may be seen to be a fraud. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye.
I just repeated what
Thank